Up in the stars. That's where you are. That's where you are.
Hello everyone and welcome to StarCast. Today on the show, I'm going to be talking to four of my friends who all at least partially make their income from filmmaking. So first I'd like to start off with Paul. So Paul, how have you been dealing with quarantine?
Sorry,
I've been taking remote work. So interestingly enough, I had a wedding come towards me that was already shot. They shot it like a couple of years ago. They never had it put together. So I had that work come up. I've had a remotely filmed music video and several other projects from personal people, businesses that are recording themselves but need someone to compile all the different interviews and B-roll. So there's been projects like that I've been able to do while maintaining social distancing.
Okay, awesome. Now Blake, I'm going to move on to you.
Well, luckily I have a web series on YouTube that makes some money, and I've been upping the content for that out. So that definitely does help. And then on May 1st, even though we technically weren't allowed to, we had a small group of friends who wanted to have an elopement done. They were originally going to be getting married on the 16th, and that fell through, obviously. They had to push it till next year, but they didn't want to wait to get married because they had just bought a house. They wanted to move in together, all that. So they did a small little, I think there were maybe 10 of us total, if that, up in the woods at Stony Creek, shot that. So that turned out pretty nice. And other than that, I've just been marketing, reaching out, trying to remind people that this is not the end of the world. They are allowed to put down deposits and save dates. But a lot of my time has also been just keeping in touch with people whose events are coming up, meeting with them, over Zoom, Skype, phone, what have you, and rescheduling. That's been the mantra for the past few months, is just lots and lots of rescheduling. One couple's already rescheduled twice because family made it clear that if it was as early as August, they still wouldn't feel comfortable. So they pushed it once and then they pushed it again.
And then Josh, how have you been spending your time?
Yeah, so the biggest thing has just been making content. So I usually make like comedy sketches, horror films, things like that. And so I've been trying to increase my engagement with our YouTube channel. Beginning of 2019, we had like maybe 300 subscribers on our channel. And as of right now, we just crossed over 1,000. So we've finally been getting some pretty good engagement overall from some of the content. But I've been trying to include more of my Facebook audience. So I did some impression videos of like my friends, and like I put out a thing on Facebook and I'm like, hey, I'll impersonate you if you're down for it. Like put your name down and I'll do it. And ended up getting like 200 comments on like one of the videos because, it's about them, like getting them involved. So, obviously I love doing like the sketches and the horror films and everything like that. But I realized since, really I can only film like myself and maybe my roommate, John, we got to be creative in how we can still communicate and engage with our audiences. So right now, just making these goofy videos, it doesn't even matter what the quality looks like so much, as long as the content is interesting and fun and has people talking. That's what matters. So luckily, I have a lot of marginally decent equipment still. I have my Sony A7 IIIs that I use for recording, and so I'm still able to get reasonably good 4K quality out of it. But yeah, that's been kind of the biggest thing. And then we got a email from Alter. They're like a horror filmmaking channel. They do like short films. They release them like every day or every couple days. Our film, we submitted Cat's Game back in like July. They reached out and said that it's going to be on their channel. So we actually got paid for a non-exclusive contract to be on their channel. And they just crossed 1 million subscribers on their channel. So really big opportunity to get a bunch of eyeballs on us, because they're going to be putting our name and everything in the description so they can go visit our YouTube channel too. So yeah, so I've been just, as far as content goes and everything like that, I've been very busy.
That's awesome, man.
That's really incredible. I'm glad that you're still having quite a bit of success in these times. It's definitely harder. And I'd say, Josh, that as for what you're doing, probably what I'm doing is the most similar to that. In these times, we can't be around other people, so I did the 1-minute short film that I put out for the Film Riot contest, and that was an interesting experience because being on camera is the thing that I like least about filmmaking. And forcing myself to go out of my comfort zone and make myself the main character, but I still at least gave myself somebody to talk to by using Zoom to do that part of it. And then doing these sort of things, talking to you guys and doing these videos, and this is something that I'd like to continue doing after quarantine's over, because I've had a good time and I think it is educational and beneficial to people. Other than that, income-wise, it's just been doing little VFX odd jobs, sound design odd jobs, just whatever I can find online, Upwork and whatnot, just to... Obviously, there's no events, or I can't shoot music videos or any of the things I'd usually make income from, so I'm just I'm making do with anything I can. So now I'd like to open it up to everybody for this to be more conversational style and talking about both the positives and negatives of this time, and let's just have a conversation, have some fun with it. So who would like to go first?
I can start off. So some of the pros for me with all this time is I've been able to have the time to focus on developing the business and investing into a lot of things that kind of took the back burner when I had projects coming left and right, and I didn't have any time to develop systems and processes that are going to shoot me up to grow. And so now I've been able to take some of that time to invest in that. I'm taking on my first intern to help offload some of my editing while I continue to focus on growing the business as a whole.
Even though there's a lot of negative with everything that's happened, obviously we don't want people dying. This is not a good situation, but I don't know if you guys would agree, but from just building yourself up and having the time to focus on things like marketing and learning new skill sets that you've been saying that you were going to do forever, but you just could not do because you didn't have the time, I'd say there's been at least a little bit of an overwhelming amount of positivity that's come out of this from a business standpoint, even though it's had a financial downturn.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, someone I'm pretty close with started her own tarot reading service about a month and a half ago, and basically she was doing phone readings and video readings and things like that. Well, being that we're in the time we're in, business is kind of booming in a way because people are looking for some form of hope, right? And so they go to somebody who could maybe read their future or things like that. And, depending on what you believe in and all of that stuff, people will look at that and they go, wow, this maybe gives me some guidance as to where I need to go. And so she's doing really well. She's helping a lot of people, but at the same time, there's a market for that. And I had no idea. I always thought you'd have to go to a building, go under the canopy tent and go talk to the person. They got their crystal ball, but it's a different process. And so it's really cool to see some of these business opportunities that kind of arise from this pandemic. And so at least, yeah, from a positive standpoint, being able to, be your own entrepreneur, be your own boss in a way and figure it out via online means. I mean, for myself, I learned web design about a year ago. And so now I've been reaching out to some businesses, some individuals, heck, the people that are trying to promote themselves. And I'm like, okay, I'll build a website for you. And I don't need to see you in person. I can literally Zoom you or call you or whatever, design it, send it to you through email. You check it out and there you go. So I think what's really cool about the media industry in general is that we can do a lot of this stuff remotely, and it's proving that way. Now, filmmaking, it's kind of like, unless you're doing everything by yourself, like, yeah, you're going to need a team, you're going to need a whole crew. But no, I think it's really cool for the person that's like, you know what, I have this idea and I can do it all online, whether that's Instagram or whatever. I even took up at the beginning of this year, I took up boudoir photography because I wanted to see, like how I could kind of work with that. It's something I was a little bit shy about, and a lot of people, they look down upon that because they all have their opinions on it. But at the end of the day, like, there's a form of empowerment with it, and to have a photographer that a man or a woman can trust to be in a vulnerable state with, that's a huge thing. And I've seen so many people in the industry that abuse that. And so something I wanted to get into as well. Well, what's it was good timing is I was able to take the photographs about a month before quarantine, and I was able to spend my time figuring out how to get the right lighting right and all that stuff through editing. And so it's been a good kind of practice thing for me as well, learning that new craft. So I don't know. I think it's what's really cool about all of this is that we can finally take a leap into something that maybe we were afraid to go for and figure it out. And the same thing with writing too. Like there's this musical I've been wanting to write, and I'm 50 pages into it, and I'm finally like getting there. And I don't think I would have even bothered checking it out if this did not happen. So yeah, there's, like anything, good things can arise from the ashes. It's just, unfortunately there's negative things too out of the whole thing.
A lot of very profitable companies will arise out of crisis. Some of the big companies from the 2008 crisis, the Uber, Airbnb, these companies came out of those ashes, and who knows what kind of incredible companies will be born out of the current crisis.
Agreed.
Yeah, I really like the positivity that's being put out here. I mean, we all know this isn't a good situation, but I'm glad that we're all making the best of it.
Yeah, not just even on the work front, but just the positivity of it. It's really taught me, it's really taught a lot of people never to take for granted the idea of human contact. I think one of the things that we talked about in our other interview is that that you're really starting to miss people when things that you used to annoy you start to miss. I was completely burnt out on doing event videography by the time December rolled around last year, and now I just can't wait to get back to it. It really teaches you not to take a lot of things for granted, and when you have no free time and then all of a sudden that's all you've got, what do you do with yourself? You have to you have a choice basically between wasting time feeling sorry for yourself or making yourself better. And I see a lot of people taking the opportunity to make themselves better, which is good.
To add to that, actually, I think as far as a mental struggle goes, so some people, having this isolation is killing them, right? Like there's the introverts and the extroverts. The introverts are like, this is my jam. I'm down for the stay at home. The extroverts are like, okay, like, and I would definitely associate myself more as an extrovert. So sure, like I'm sitting here, I'm down, and I'm, but I think in a way, like it's not going to be for everybody, but like for me, it's kind of taught me to be like, okay with this, like to have that time to myself. So for me, that's like, it's huge to be able to learn that, to be comfortable with an environment and seclude yourself, because like my roommate, he still works at Costco, and so he works late hours, and so I don't really see him much. So it's really it's me working on my craft. And a good point to add to this though is, I see a lot of people saying like, okay, there's 2 months of, you've been doing this for 2 months. And if you're not learning a new skill, then what did you do with your time? And at the end of the day, like, you don't need to learn a new skill. This is literally like almost kind of like, in a weird sense of the word, a cheat code for life. We're given 2-3 months to like do whatever it is we want. If we do, maybe we've worked so hard And this is an opportunity for us to be super lazy and just watch a bunch of Netflix or whatever. Like, there's no set rule as to what we need to do in this time. I mean, I'm choosing to be more productive, and I know you guys are, but like, at the end of the day, if you want to sit there and eat cookies and ice cream and get fat, and that makes you happy, like, go for it, you know?
And off of what... Go ahead, Paul.
We keep doing this.
Yeah.
Always you two.
I've actually feel more connected with people now that all of my interactions are intentional. Like, I work out of a co-working space, and so I would have random conversations and sidebars with people and stuff, and it's just like the common social interaction. But now that I'm intentionally having calls with people and scheduling appointments and making the time to engage and have conversations with these people, it's made me feel a little bit more connected in a lot of ways now that I have to go kind of out of my way to have these interactions.
I'm glad that we went this direction, because at first I was kind of thinking, okay, we're talking about all these things that we're doing productive, but I know that there's going to be people who are going to watch this and be like, well, so many disasters happened during this time, and I wasn't mentally even able to think about certain things. And relaxation is not a bad thing. And we're finally not only gaining time to learn these new skills, but we're also gaining time to recharge. Like Blake said before, and I have to agree with that about now that we have the time to basically, we're just looking at computers. I can't wait to get back on set, and I can't wait to do a wedding. And usually I'm like, oh man, if that wedding gets pushed back, okay, I'll do other things. But now I'm like, you know what? I just want to pick up a camera and go and be around other people and get back to doing that. And if nothing else, this gave that to me, like, to bring the excitement back.
Yeah, because normally when I ask you, hey Andrew, I've got a couple looking for a wedding on this particular date, you're like, what can I make up? What can I tell them I'm doing that day? I know it's a year and a half from now, but I'm sure I have plans. But the last time that I asked you, you were like, hey, you want to live stream a ceremony? Yeah, sure. Which, by the way, I'm still waiting to hear back from them.
Awesome.
I'll admit, those first 2 weeks, I was a potato. I took the time off to like recoup mentally, and then so I did take some time for myself before I started trying to be productive again.
Let's be honest. Let's all be honest. We all spent the first 2 weeks watching Tiger King. That's what every single one of us here was doing. Don't even deny it.
No, I spent the first 2 days watching Tiger King.
Oh, yeah. I have a 5-year-old, so I have to space out my binge watching. Usually by the time I go to bed, I'm just ready to conk out. So something has to be really interesting to keep me awake, and Tiger King definitely did that.
For sure.
Perfect timing.
I've been saying that I would watch Blade Runner for like the last year, and I finally sat down and watched Blade Runner 1 and Blade Runner 2049, so I'm happy about that. But another movie that I saw that hit me in an interesting way, because I wasn't expecting this reaction from it, is there's this movie on Netflix, The Invention of Lying, and that movie just like really messed with my perspective on things in a very productive way, I think.
Yeah, I saw it in theaters when it came out a long time ago.
Yeah.
I saw the title on Netflix. I thought about watching it, but I haven't yet.
It was actually a very good movie. Is there any movies that you guys have seen that re-inspired you during this time?
I just started rewatching Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yes. Anyone who has ever looked at my Facebook wall would know that I am absolutely obsessed with that show. Maybe unhealthily so. It's such a good show, and anyone who hasn't seen it needs to watch it. It is so well written.
Back when cartoons were good.
Yeah, they all look the same now, man.
Yeah.
I'd say one maybe not inspired me or anything per se, but is that movie called The Hunt. It was supposed to be in theaters like the week the pandemic started getting into the stay home, stay safe. But that one, it was interesting because it was like, obviously this has been the year of conspiracy theories, right? Like there's the pandemic video and like all this stuff. And so like watching this, they talk about certain things that have been hush hush and all that stuff. And it's kind of opened my eyes in all of that. Like I used to, any video that came up in general that was like, contradicting maybe what's really going on and everything like that, I'd look at it and go, okay, whatever, like this is stupid. But now like there's so much that's just been released and like all these different perspectives. And there's certain things that you're like, okay, this seems to have a little sense to it. I'm going to look into it. And maybe not all of it, makes sense. And some of it could be a little bit crazy, but I don't know, like with everything going on, it's just like, you can't help but kind of want to look for more answers in this particular time. Other times I didn't care, but like, you get so much mixed feedback from doctors, from politicians, from, all these different people. And you're like, okay, what is it? This, like they were saying the ventilators in the beginning were like the right thing. And now they're saying, well, that was actually killing people. And it's like, who do we believe at this point? And so, I got to say, as far as like researching and looking into stuff, like, I've definitely been doing that a lot more. And then in this movie, The Hunt kind of like loosely does that too. It like brings up like certain things that I've heard from conspiracy theorists and all of that stuff. So it's a good watch. It's very interesting. And then you kind of watch it and you're like, all right, what of this are they referencing? And so you start looking into that too. But I'd say that's just, it's inspired maybe curiosity, if anything.
Curiosity is a very good thing.
Yeah. Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Cat.
Well, it can be a very good thing sometimes because, I mean, how else do we learn things? How else do we get inspired? I mean, research is so important now more than ever because, I mean, I want to bring up fake news, but like, we live in a time where we're being lied to more than ever, or at least there's so many different kinds of information that are going in two different directions that it's so important to fact check and make sure that what you're seeing, because everything's emotionally geared. It's trying to make you get this emotional guttural reaction, and that just because something's out there doesn't mean that it's real.
The hard part.
On the internet, it has to be true.
Yeah.
The hard part with all the misinformation is how do you control that while also respecting freedom of speech? Like the line between those are starting to get blurred. And how do you protect the masses from misinformation without like censoring people's right to have a differing opinion?
Right. Yeah. I mean, for me, the easy answer is just nothing is censored. False or true. Like, I mean, unless it's like really inciting like hateful stuff, and I'm sure we understand what we mean by like hateful stuff, but no, I mean, if somebody wants to pull up some sort of conspiracy theory video and all of that stuff, at the end of the day, it's our responsibility to do the research, look into it, look at different sources and not just believe one thing at face value.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm always I'm a big advocate of fact checking the fact checkers. Especially, I think, just since the last election, we've seen a lot of things go completely off the rails in terms of misinformation. Websites that claim to embrace and promote free speech are now the first ones saying, well, we have to, tap down on this, for your safety. And after a while, when you start to see the things that are getting tamped down on, you're like, well, how does that really help anybody? And then I hate to use the term slippery slope because people love to make fun of that, but that's exactly what it is. Back in 9/11, after that, when the Twin Towers fell, our own government decided that the best use of their time was to pass a piece of legislation that made it easier for them to spy on us. And people like to forget about that. So I always say just, information is your friend, even if it's bad information. It'll encourage you to go and look up the right stuff.
Yeah. So just to kind of wrap things up here, I'd like to go around asking you guys what you guys see from a film standpoint, like what things are going to be like for you guys individually after this, like the biggest takeaways from this quarantine experience, and how you guys are going to take your business forward after that.
Well, I'd say for me, as far as any sort of short films or sketches or anything like that, I'm fine with going that route as soon as we can. We'll follow whatever procedures we need to make that happen. But I'm not as fearful, I guess, of this as maybe was in the beginning. And I think if we're just smart about it and we follow, whether it's certain social distancing guidelines, wearing masks, whatever, the crew feels comfortable with, and whatever we legally have to do, then I'm going to continue things as usual. As far as clients go and things like that, for me, I'm not really doing weddings or anything like that so much. I'm doing more so. I'm focusing more on branding individuals and businesses and things like that. So I'm not really interacting with as many people. So I don't think there's much to worry about there. But I mean, I'm just going to go at it. I'm waiting. Like, I'll wait what I need to wait. But as soon as things are okay and they say it's fine, I'm in.
Yeah. I'm a firm believer that we can be safe, productive, and responsible. So as soon as I'm given the clearance to go back to work, I'm going back to work. And in the meantime, I'm definitely keeping busy. I told Andrew that once upon a time, back when I was your age, I tried doing a show where I would comedically review videos, like a Spoonie Experiment or a Nostalgia Critic kind of thing. And I really loved doing it. But I was editing on what I lovingly refer to now as Final Butt Pro, and trying to incorporate movie clips into that was about a 4-step process that took forever. And now that I edit in Premiere, it's a much easier process. And having all this free time has really made me think, I really would love to get back into doing that again. So regardless of how things move forward for my business, I really love making web-based content. And even if that does become my business moving forward, I'm totally cool with that. Especially if I get to, make fun of movies that I love in front of a green screen.
Kind of like you guys, I plan on once we're clear to work again, I'll be working, and I don't expect the business to really slow down terribly much. I mean, it's slow right now, but I think we'll bounce back, and I'm pretty optimistic for the future and for the future of my business. And right now I'm just kind of focusing on how I can help small mom and pop businesses go virtual and get online, and how they can make that transition, what kind of resources and tools they need to continue to be safe.
So real quick, we do have a special guest who's going to be joining us for the last few minutes, and I'm going to be asking him just a couple of the questions that I asked you guys. So I'm going to be bringing in Jason West. Jason, can you hear us?
How's it going? Hi, Paul.
There we go.
Hey.
Hi, Paulie.
Hey, Jason.
Hey, Jason. Good to see you. You're late to the party, man.
You guys. Well, this is pretty cool, man. I've never been in a Zoom video before.
So, Jason, we started off the call talking about just how we've been staying creative during quarantine. So if you'd like to just talk about what you've been up to a little bit.
He went Walt Disney.
Yeah.
No, I've been shooting short, I guess you could say website videos for an attorney out of Fort Wayne, Indiana. I've been editing those. I've got about 6 videos to edit tonight. I've done a couple of voice acting gigs, and I just shot a commercial up in South Bend, Indiana yesterday. And then I've also been doing DoorDash, so I deliver food to people.
Nice.
I'm glad like things are staying rolling for you.
Yeah.
We did a lot of talking about just. It's really nice to hear all of you guys like talk about that you guys are keeping things going and you're not. This isn't killing you guys. Is there anything though that you do feel like was a big effect? I mean, I know this is affecting all of us financially, but like something that quarantine specifically caused that you're going to have to figure out when this is over?
Yeah, I know for me, I had 2 movie gigs lined up out in New Jersey. And obviously that's all put on hold, and New Jersey and New York they're doing really bad right now. So I don't know when that opportunity is going to open back up. So that was the big thing for me.
It's going to be really interesting to see what the movie industry ends up being, because with productions being halted for so long, is there just going to be like a gap in movie releases? Like, how's that going to play out?
I don't know.
Well, I feel like this is the time. This is the time right now that it needs to be the indie filmmakers world right now. You know, I think we have a huge opportunity to get our stories out and actually make some money, because there's a lot of big budgeted movies that aren't able to put that money to their big actors and stuff like that. I think now is the time for the indie filmmaker to really prosper.
Yeah, because California is going to be closed for another 3 months, I hear.
Yep.
It's going to be like rough.
All the CW shows, I think, are pushed back to 2021, 2020. It might have even been 2022, actually. And we know that like Black Widow isn't coming out. It's getting pushed. I believe that one's another 2021. All the big productions, except for the ones that are being released on streaming. But Jason, you bring up a very valid, awesome point that. Because I'm currently developing a project. It occurred to me that if you look at like Avatar: The Last Airbender, they're 20-minute episodes. You look at Mandalorian, they're 20-minute episodes. I'm trying to put together a show that I want to do for YouTube that there'll be 10-minute episodes, but if you look at it, one episode would essentially be half of what you would usually expect as an episode. So you'll have like a 16-episode season instead of an 8-episode season, with these 10-minute episodes being put out online. That's something that I'm actively working on and what I'd like to do in the future. Hopefully it works out.
Now, for indie filmmakers, they should probably be putting out their release schedules for December, because it's going to be a lean Christmas, and that's when all the blockbusters come out. If you can make a movie and get it ready, you might have more attention to get.
I was about to say, can you imagine December without Star Wars? But after the last couple Star Wars movies, I don't know how you feel about it, but I'm like, yeah, I'm a little bit done with Star Wars.
Yeah. I was done with Star Wars in December.
I've never been into Star Wars, so.
Yeah, same.
No, I think, Andrew, I think that's a great point, though. A lot of people's, concentration. They don't want to sit there and watch a 45-minute episode anymore. They don't want to even watch a half an hour. So 10 minutes is really, really holding people's concentration at that point, And if you do just that small gap rather than something bigger, I think people are going to want to come back and see more, and I think you're going to have the opportunity to make more. I think that's really smart.
Thank you very much. I would like to just go around one last time if anyone has any closing things that they would like to say, and then after that, if you'd like to give where people can find you online. So I'll start with you, Josh.
Yeah. No, I mean, for anybody out there, just keep doing what you're doing. And if that means doing nothing, that's okay too. Yeah, I own a production studio called BlueView Cinema. It's pronounced how it sounds, or spelled how it sounds. We have a website, we have Facebook, we have Instagram, all BlueView Cinema, and you can check it out. It's got horror films, comedy sketches, and me looking like an idiot most of the time in these solo YouTube videos I do. So, yeah.
And go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, I guess same sentiment. Just things will eventually get better, and just kind of stick with it. And you can follow me on Paul Matthew Media on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. YouTube is actually Paul Studios. I made that before I branded myself as Paul Matthew Media. So, and then I have my website, paulmatthewmedia.com.
And Blake, you're up.
Well, I'm going to be expanding my online presence here pretty soon, but now the best place to find me is lightcraftentertainment.com. And now that we're slowly starting to open up here, we're going to start getting out there and hopefully doing a little more person-to-person engagement. My wife cannot wait to get back out there and start taking photos. So she has felt shackled to a ball and chain, quite literally, for the past couple of months. So it may be me, it may be something else. But
And Jason.
Yeah, you can follow me at or on Instagram at JasonSPS78. I'd really just encourage people to, if you got a story of any kind, it doesn't matter what it is, write it down, and that might be the perfect foundation for the next Citizens Kane or the next Schindler's List. You never know, but you're never going to know if you don't write it down and get it out there. People's stories need to be told, period.
Awesome. Okay, guys. Well, you can find us. I mean, you're already on our YouTube channel, so if you enjoy this kind of content, subscribe, give us a like, maybe leave us a comment down below. And you can also find us on Facebook, where we also post our videos. Our website is Stargazer Digital Media, or stargazerdigitalmedia.com. We're on Instagram. All the links are down below. There's going to be a very long list of links in this video because I'm going to be putting all of your guys' links, so you'll be able to find everybody. So I just want to thank you so much, all of you, for taking the time to do this. I think this is really cool. I think we said some awesome stuff, and it's just nice to, after not being able to talk to people for quite a while, to be able to talk to you guys and have this avenue to be able to do it.
Thanks for the opportunity, Andrew.
yeah, thanks for having us on.
Yeah, thank you very much, Andrew.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so that brings us to the end of the video, and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.